Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now, if you're new to the channel, you might not know this, but I'm a huge bag fan. If you're not new to the channel and you've been around a lot, hey, welcome back. You already know this. So I saw this backpack and it just did a lot of new and unique things. So what we're here today to look at is the Axone Urban Backpack, and this is a 20 litre. Now they specifically mention it as the 20 litre. Now I don't know whether this is true or not, but that makes me kind of believe that maybe there may be a larger version of this in the future, but this at this moment in time, this is specifically the 20 litre urban backpack. Now as mentioned, I saw this and I thought, this is kind of different. You may already have noticed this kind of front X, kind of pure X system. So I got in touch with them. Full disclosure, they did send this to me to make some content on. However, that has no sway on the outcome of this this piece of content. And there's some other very, very unique and interesting things in this backpack that I think makes it different from some other backpacks that are out there on the market. So as I usually do, I'll turn the camera around so that we can take a closer look. Whilst I'm doing that, if you do enjoy this content at any point, please feel free to hit the like, subscribe and share button. That would be absolutely amazing. It does a huge, or makes a huge difference for my channel. It shows me the type of content that you appreciate, but it also really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. But if you'd like to do that, that would be amazing, and I definitely want to say thank you at this point if you did choose to do that for me. But let's turn the camera around so that we can take a closer look at the Axone Urban Backpack 20 litre. So as we usually do, we'll go through some measurements, some materials, and then we'll start to have a look inside the pack itself. As far as measurements are concerned, this comes in at 490mm by 310mm by 200mm. Now there is, hopefully you might notice that there is a slight taper to this. So the 310mm is here at the top. It probably goes down an extra 50mm here at the bottom. Now I've tried to measure that myself with a tape measure. It's roughly that as far as the taper is concerned. But as I've already mentioned, this is a 20 litre pack, so it's on that kind of average size that you get for a commuter urban day pack. As far as the materials in this, actually we'll mention the hardware first. So you have Duraflex buckles. All of the zippers throughout this are YKK zippers. On the side here you have this really nice elastic mesh, and then through the front, this is really nice. So this is a very nice RIPSTOP material, but what you'll find is that the RIPSTOP in this, rather than just going with black on black, that they have this really nice grey pinstripe through it, which I think adds an air of je ne sais quoi, a little bit of sophistication to it, but it's really nice. It's also Teflon coated as well, so that if you're concerned about things getting wet whilst they're in here, you certainly don't have to worry about that. Any water that gets off here just completely, it beads off. The main compartment here has this large hood, which again, we'll have a look at in a second, to stop anything from in there from getting wet. It is an unfortunate shame. I would have liked to have seen one of the AquaGuard zippers here on the top. This section here in the back is where your laptop is, so it's a shame that there isn't an AquaGuard zipper on there. But if you are out in the rain, it's going to give you the protection that you need to be able to then get out of the rain. So we'll go around the actual pack itself to show you some of the bits that are on here, and while we're doing that, we'll touch on some of the features that make this just a bit special, a bit different to some of those other packs that are on the market at the moment. So as far as the front is concerned, it's a very clean, subtle front. There is an Axone logo here at the bottom. It's a little on the large side and a little on the I'm here, I'm an Axone pack. But I get that. I appreciate that it's a style that they've gone for. Personally, I'd have probably changed this so that it was either grey on grey or a darker grey, or maybe even in black as well. And that way, because you've got this pinstriping here with the ripstop, you'd have a black silhouette on there, which I think would look killer. On the bottom, hopefully if you can see here, it is completely, again, you know, it's a completely clear bottom. On the sides, which is identical on both sides, you have a large elasticated pocket here that you can put a drink, you can put an umbrella into. Maybe if you're doing a city break, you want to put a map or something like that in there, but you can fit quite a lot in. They're also really good. So the elastic that they used on this elastic mesh is clearly a very good elastic mesh, because when you take it out, just within a second it just springs back, so that you can have, again, a very plain and simple side to this pack. Now, there's one thing to mention, and that's this bit on the bottom, and this is where they have a patent on this, and this is their U-flow system. So where these straps would normally attach, if I pull one of these, you'll be able to see that this one goes in. I pull that, so this piece of webbing off the bottom of the strap goes through a panel here in the bottom, and what it does is it allows this to move. So as you're walking with the shoulder straps, the U-flow system allows your shoulder straps to move with the rhythm of your arms and body as you're moving. I was really curious about how the mechanics of this work, because, you know, you're thinking, well, surely this is going to create some sort of friction in here. But what they've done is, so through here, underneath here, there's actually a piece of plastic. I say plastic, I'm not sure what material this is. It may be polycarbonate, urethane, whatever it is. But this goes into here and goes through on the inside. So where this would have the most friction, there's actually a piece of something in here that negates that friction. But what it also does is it allows for a lot more of a smoother action, which the U-flow system on this is brilliant. And I don't know why it's not been done by anybody before, or if people have done it before, why they've not continued to use it. I think it's a very, very, very clever idea. That was the bottom. So on the sides, you also have two Duraflex buckles, and then this opens up this top flap. Now, this top flap isn't just a flap for the sake of having a flap to protect everything on the inside. There's also a zipper compartment here, so that if you wanted to put some quick access things into there, then you can do. But what you'll also notice is that as we go through the pack, Axone have used a lot of their branding through the inside of the pack. So rather than it being pretty garish on the outside, they've just used it on the inside, which I think is a nice design hint. On the front here, we then have a zippered pocket, which again have these really nice cat tongue style pulls on them. As that opens, you'll be able to see, so if I put my hand in, it goes down to about there, and then you can put extra things. You know, I keep a small first aid kit in there, and you can also put your mobile phone and things into there as well. To add additional functionality to this front pocket, there's also another little a poppered pocket as well. So if you did want to maybe have your car keys and your mobile phone in there, but you don't want your car keys scratching your mobile phone, you can put your mobile phone in there, open this popper, put your car keys in there, close the popper, and then you can keep those two separate. I think that's another great idea. It'd be nice to see that done in other packs. Again, it doesn't have to have a lot of organisation in there. Just being able to panel off or to compartmentalise within that pocket here, great touch. I've got to mention the zips on these. So this again, I've never seen this before. Everybody needs to be doing this, because these are YKK zippers, so YKK clearly have the ability to do this. But as you'll see, so the material that the zips are attached to is black. but the actual zipper tracks, the plastic within these is orange. So when it's closed, you can just get a faint hint that there's something orange there. But when these open, you get that just shout, hey look, I'm different, you've not seen anything like this before. That is, again, you know, take note other bag developers. These are cool features. It's a zip at the end of the day. It's not anything revolutionary, but the fact that they've got the double colour in there is definitely very cool. So this pocket here, I have my alpaca tech pouch in there. I have a small little tech pouch which was just more of a grab and go kind of thing. I got these from IKEA, they were super cheap. But you have a large pocket in here. In this pocket you can put, obviously, you know, I had that stuff in there. There is another popper pocket here that pushes on. Here is more of this lining with the Axone logos on there. And then where this zipper is here, so this top reinforcement section of the stitching also has the Axone logo on there as well. Now, they could have actually gone a bit OTT on this a little bit, but I think they haven't. It's just enough and it's just subtle. I think if they'd have splashed this even more so, it probably would have been a bit garish, but I actually think that, you know, it's quite nice. And then when you go in here, so a lot of the lining in here as well, so on the sides this is just normal black lining, but you have a zip which has this mesh pocket, and then again inside the mesh pocket there are also two pockets. If I just grab my wallet here, you can put those into there rather than it being in the mesh pocket that's here then on the front. Another great idea. This isn't a full clamshell open, it goes roughly about halfway down, so if you're wanting to use this, maybe you're going to the gym in the evening, you want to bang your shoes in there or your pumps or something, you can put those in there knowing full well that if you pull this down, it is going to stop roughly 50% of the way down so that everything's not going to fall out. I think this is a very clever and well designed front section, I really do. So, every time I open it, I just love those zippers. That closes back down again, and then you can also fasten these down. You can pull these down, and they go onto there as well. Now this is kind of your main EDC kind of stuff. If it is that this is being used and you're using it to commute to the office, you then have your tech panel, and I'm just going to call it a tech panel for now. On the front here, or at least on the back, which is where the zippers are, you have eye closures on these so that if you wanted to lock this off, if you are using it for travelling, then you can lock that off to stop people from getting in. You have more of these little cat tongue pulls on there, and then they will open up. As far as opening up is concerned with this, this is a full clamshell opening. I'm just going to flip this around this way to start off with. So on the back panel here, or at least I suppose you could call this the front panel because it's at the front of the bag, you have a large zip mesh pocket for throwing things into, but you want to be able to see what's actually in there. And then beneath there, which goes all the way down to the bottom, you have another large pocket, which this one isn't meshed. But again, I think it's useful sometimes to have these mesh pockets so that when you're searching for something, you can actually find it. There's a secret bit on here, and again, very clever thinking. So you look at this bit, and it's probably about maybe an inch, 30 millimeters deep, and then on the other side, it almost appears as though there's a disparity between the two, and that's because there is. We've got two extra zippers here, and what this does is opens up another panel behind here, which is the extra volume that's missing between the two sides. Now, true story, I was away at a medical symposium, had to get something out of my bag. It was in the laptop section, but that was also where I was hiding some of my clothing. I put it down on the table, opened it up, pulled, I was actually after an extension cable. I pulled the extension cable, which also pulled out some socks and a pair of my boxers. Pretty embarrassing, as they were Mickey Mouse boxers, but you know, it was certainly an icebreaker for the day. What this does is it allows you to go away on that business trip, maybe have some things in here, some clothing that you don't want to pull out and embarrass you, and you know, again, that's another funny story for another day. Then on the back panel here, so we have a traditional laptop sleeve, which they've booked the tradition and put these in the top. So simple. So all this is elastic on here. It's very nice and light elastic. So you can slide your laptop into here. Oh, I went to the beach with this the other day, so I have my frisbee. You can slide your laptop into here. It will fit up to a 16-inch laptop. I know a lot of you ask about measurements for these. So it comes in at 380 millimeters by 255 millimeters. I have a 16-inch laptop for work, and it fits in absolutely no issues whatsoever. It's probably a good maybe 40 millimeters from the top. If you can see here, here's where the suspended floor is as well. So if you're concerned, you're a little bit reckless and you do throw your stuff around, you've got a good 70-80 millimeters clearance from the floor. Then in the front, there's actually a nice little elastic neoprene style pocket here as well that you can fit a tablet into, and this will fit up to a 12.9 inch iPad Pro, so you know you can fit quite a lot in there. So they're the main two sections. Now, as I mentioned before, there are some other things on here that are definitely worth shouting about. Actually, before we get onto this, so you have a nice little grab handle with a bit of leather on the top. As far as the suspension system is concerned, just in case you did pack this quite a lot, then you also have some load adjusters here on the top. If you've not come across load adjusters, here at the moment they're fully opened, but when it's on, if you pull down on these or pull it forward from your shoulders, these just make sure that the top of the bag is as close to your shoulders as possible, which is the best and most ergonomic way to carry that. I'm just going to open those up because there's an extra bit on here, and this is around this dynamic shifting system here at the top. So depending on whether you have a broader shoulder or a slighter shoulder, or maybe you prefer to have something that's maybe closer to your neck, or you prefer it so that it's away from your shoulders or away from your neck, in the top here on both sides you have these sliders. So these sliders, as you can imagine, slide across, so you can perfectly hone in exactly on where on your shoulders you want this to sit. Again, this is another one of those amazing ideas that they've packed into this pack, which again is great. So the last two, oh no, there's also a pocket here on the side, so if you want to add your passport or your wallet to that, it makes it a little bit difficult to get to. And then we come to the actual meat of this, and this is where a lot of the difference comes in from your traditional backpacks. First being that they use this nice deodorant mesh. Now, I have seen deodorant air mesh on other backpacks before. It's not something new, however it's a nice feature. These are the ones that get sweaty when it's on you, and it's generally where the smell, if you get them sweaty and don't wash it, that it comes from. So it's nice to have that deodorant mesh on there. But then the next bit really is this Pure X system. So hopefully you'll see, you do get, on some packs, you get that ergonomic kind of bend to it, but the bend on this is a lot more than they usually are, and that's because on the front, with the use of this zip, now when it's on you, it's actually easier to do. Let me just make sure I can get this right in there and zip that up. And this is the Pure X system, so it just changes the way in which this carries. It's similar to, and I know certainly sometimes when I've done some long runs, you get some runners that run with those chest harness systems that they can carry things onto, and it just puts the weight onto your sternum rather than onto the sides of your chest. So it does a very similar job to that. So as far as how does it carry, I'm sure you can probably imagine by now that it's just slightly different to a traditional backpack. You have that dynamic shift system across the back so that you can completely dial in exactly where these shoulder straps come across your shoulders. So whether you have a thinner neck or whether you just like it to sit closer onto your shoulder muscles rather than your neck muscles here, you can slide that across. And then you have the Pure X system here on the front. So this just gives you a greater area of movement. A traditional backpack, when the straps come over, they tend to come over where the creases between your shoulder muscles and your chest muscles sit. And then the sternum strap comes across there. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys this, you know this already. Whereas with this, rather than a traditional one, you're always having to pull forward with something that's essentially strapped to your shoulders and the outsides of your chest. This moves all of that pressure, or at least it moves the point in which it makes contact to your body onto your sternum instead. So things like, I can imagine, well, the way that I've been testing it, you know, we did a day out at the beach, we've done lots of walks with this. I haven't tried this cycling yet, mainly because I don't have a bicycle. However, that movement where your arms are forward for things like commuting, that sort of stuff, this will make a massive difference in I suppose I'm trying to think of the right word, the area of movement that you'll be able to get from your shoulders and from your chest to be able to do those sort of things. Now, one of the other differences as well is, and I'm just going to grab another bag. So let's for now call this a traditional backpack. So when this is on, the distance between the two shoulder straps, whether the sternum strap is on or off, doesn't really change all that much. Using the sternum strap, it might pull them in slightly together. Whereas with this one, when you have the straps in completely together, these are attached. There is a zip here that holds the two together. What that does mean is that when you want to take this off and undo those zips, as these open, it increases the length of these straps. So what you'll find is, so when these are together and I put it there, you'll see that it lifts it where I would generally carry a pack like this. But when you open them, it does drop down considerably. Not to any detriment of the pack. You just find that between wearing it as a day pack and not using the sternum strap, and when you're actually, although it's not really a sternum strap, it's that Pure X system. But when you're not using the Pure X system, when you open out, the bag will drop ever so slightly. So you just find that once you've done that, you can pull down on the straps at the bottom, which are really nice, and they also have thumb loops to aid. I'm guessing Axone appreciated that people will need to pull down on those, but it's a quick pull. They're very loose. No, not loose. Loose sounds bad. They're nice and smooth, so this, rather than using like a mil spec webbing, this uses that really nice smooth webbing that you get on a seat belt. So it's very smooth to be able to cinch those down, and the Duraflex buckles hold it in place. So there's very little, or well, there's actually no movement as far as the straps coming up and down. You want to put it back on, you just let them loose a little bit, put it on, zip it up, and then you can go off to do whatever it is that you're doing, commuting or something like that, to work. I have to say there's some very, very interesting features in here, and I think they all work really well, and I really wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these features we start to see different iterations in other packs. Being able to slide those across on the shoulders, I think, is a great idea. The U-flow system underneath here is, again, I always use the term strange, but strange is definitely a good thing in my vocabulary. You just find it moves with you as you're walking. You can feel it kind of turning round, more so when you've got a larger weight. At this moment in time, because the bag's empty, it doesn't do it as much, but when you've got a little bit more weight in here, you just feel an increased kind of movement that you can twist, you can bend, and the bag will move with you, mainly because the bottom of the shoulder straps, it kind of, you know, it flows between the two. If there was anything that I could possibly change about this, what I'd like to see is two versions. The Pure X system I think is great for me, because I don't do a lot of, or at least my commute into the office is, I get in my car, I drive, I put this on, not while I'm driving, I mean I get out of the car and then I go in. Certainly when I travel with work, it's exactly the same, whether it's by train, plane or a bus. So what I'd like to see is possibly is two versions of this. So one with the Pure X system and one with the traditional system with a sternum strap. I think that would give a really nice amount of choice between the two, so that if you're not into cycling and doing that kind of commute, that you've got that choice there for you as well. But I'm really interested to see how this develops. As mentioned at the beginning of this, so this is, they specifically mentioned that this is the 20-litre version. So I'd like to see exactly if there is going to be a larger version. This is still, and I mean I only just said it about 10 seconds ago, this is still only a 20-litre bag. So I think the amount of stuff that they've got in here would lend itself to being scaled up to a larger bag that you could use for maybe a 72 hours away. You know, you can take this away for the weekend, or maybe put more into this if you're going on a longer business trip, which I think will be absolutely amazing to get those, or to get that additional size in here as well. Now I'd definitely like to say a massive thank you to Axone for sending this my way. You've got some really clever people working there, and yeah, I mean, bag geeks, I love a good bag geek. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing more from you guys in the future. Now as always, what I'll do is I'll make sure that in the description below we've got some of Axone's links, we've got their social media links as well. I'll also leave some of my social media links in there if you want to follow me. Then you'll get to see what else is in the pipelines that I'm testing out. Yeah, but I'd like to also say at this point, if you've got to the end, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Easter. I hope you've been able to spend it with your friends and family, and yeah, you have a good time. Maybe don't eat too much chocolate. But for now, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC.